Hey, coaches, Adam Harvey here. Thanks so much for joining me. I want to thank Intentionally Grounded for hosting this clinic, and what a great idea! What a great opportunity to really address something that is very real, and I think it's something that we coaches probably hide behind, right? But I am here to say that I am ecstatic to be a part, excited to talk some ball, but also for the greater cause, right? And so. Just want to thank Coach Kesserling for reaching out to me and giving me this opportunity. A little bit about myself. I've been coaching now since 2003. Excuse me, went to Indiana for a couple of years back in the early 2000s and coached basketball a couple of years. And then originally from Texas, so I found myself back down here in the Lone Star State in 2005 and been coaching down here ever since. So been very fortunate to coach a lot of great players. Been fortunate to be around a lot of great coaches and learn the game of ball. And I just love football. I love what it brings to the table. I love being able to use that platform for bigger and better things, and then learn along the way because I'm never above it. Right? We're always here to learn and get better, both in scheme, both the way we teach but definitely off the field and changing young men's lives through a wonderful sport. And then, hopefully some parents along the way as well. So thank you again for this opportunity. And I won't waste any more of your time. I want to get started here and make sure that we're doing what we need to, right? So I'm going to go ahead and stop the webcam so you guys can get the full picture here. And I apologize if any of this is cut off. I'll do my best to share any of this with anybody that would like to see it. So just reach out to me and let me know. There's my cell phone down below, 210-842-9854. You guys are more than welcome to use that at any moment that you find fit. And then I'm always on Twitter, Coach_Harvey 18 is my Twitter tag and handle. And so would love to talk to you guys on either one of those platforms as well. And you can email me at coachharvey18@gmail also. So again, just reach out to me in any way, shape, or form. As we get into this thing, I am a big culture guy. You probably saw the hashtag on the previous slide with hashtag mode. This is what mode means to us. I think culture is something that we need to embed into our kids, and we need to teach not only football but life lessons, obviously through the way that we handle everything, right? And so mode for us is an acronym. I'm a big acronym guy. We're going to be making our discipline elite in everything we do. So if we break that down, the word making, I did intentionally put that suffix of ing at the end of this word because to me that's in the process of, right? We haven't arrived. It's not something that it's a past thing, but it's also not something that is so far in the future that it's not grabbable and attainable. It is now, as you can see here on the screen. We're in the process of getting there, but it is always a here and now thing. How can I get better right now? How can I better this situation so that I am living in that mode, right? The O stands for R. We will get there together, right? There's no one that gets anywhere alone that's worth getting there. So what I mean by that is if you're set forth and you're working towards whatever your goals are in life, you better have good support systems. You better have people along the way that are going to help guide you, that are going to tell you when you mess up. They're going to keep you accountable, but also celebrate with you, right? That's one of the things that we really want to embody. And I don't know how to coach a defense better than do things together. The next letter, D, discipline. It's kind of a thing that the Kites, both Tim and Brian, have preached for quite some time. I think Brian, with the daily discipline, has done a really good job as he's separated from Focus 3. But I love what he says about the shortcut to being elite is discipline, right? Discipline is the shortcut. And so that's what we want to teach our kids. That's a very, very widespread message, but very intently put together, right? In everything we do, we want to have discipline and do those things with the right attitude and the right mindset at all times, right? And then the ultimate goal is being elite. We want to be elite in all things. We want to be elite when we're making the bed for mom and dad. We want to be elite when we're in the line at our fast food restaurants in our community. We want to be elite when we're in the classroom and walk in the halls of our high school. And then, obviously we want to be elite on the field as well. So if we're elite in all things, then we're carrying ourselves in that manner. We're living in that mode. So just a little something that we preach to our kids quite a bit because I am such a culture guy, right? Next, all right, my defensive philosophy. So going into the football side of this a little bit more, we're fast, physical, and fun, right? We always want to play fast. And I think every defensive coordinator across the country would say the same thing. We know our job and we execute that job at a crazy speed, right? At warp speed, as you see on here on the screen. One of the things I tell our guys all the time is if you are accepting or expecting someone else to do your job, you're playing slow, right? That is not in our DNA. That is not who we want to be. We want to fly around. We want to get places with purpose and never expect that somebody is going to do that for us and never accept that somebody just beat me out, right? I think if you live life that way, you're in good shape. And if you definitely play defense that way, things are happening. Okay. That leads us to the next thing. We want all 11 hats to the ball. I get it. The numbers will state that, if your backside corner is going to be running down the ball, you might get beat with reverses. And that's certainly the case. We have a job to do. But we want that mindset, right? We want that mentality. And I think so much of defense is a mindset and is a mentality. And if you're doing things with the right mindset, then your kids are going to buy in. And that's really what we want. We want guys to understand that we can get every hat possible to the football, and we're going to do our best to get there, right? So the quote that goes with that is we want to punish our opponents in every play, every way, and in all phases of the game, right? And so defense is part of that. The whole adage of defense wins championships. We want to take that to heart, and we take that very, very personal. And so we've got to make sure that we're playing with championship effort, right? And then finally, fun. If we're not making this game fun and we're not doing it the right way, then why are we doing it, right? We'll celebrate as a team. I'm real big on celebrations. That's something that we actually grade. We want to have fun doing it with one another, but not at the expense of our opponent, right? We want to do it the right way. We want to get to the bottom of the thing that really holds us together, and that's loving one another. So if my buddy makes a play, then I better be over there loving him up. Because that's what I'm going to expect everybody else to do from me whenever it's time for me to make a play, right? So just a little bit of a defensive philosophy thing there. Our defensive goals, we're going to start with the win ball game, right? We got to win the ball game above all else. We may have the worst stat sheet known to man, but if that W is in the column that it needs to be in, then we're in good shape, okay? We want to win our money downs. Third and fourth downs, we want to make sure that a conversion rate of 30% or less is intact. We have fun with that. Going back to culture, we have the entire team, and we try to get the stands involved. It's kind of coming around here at Hutto in 2 years. Where they're on third down, everybody's up saying money, 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 and on fourth down, everybody's up with the cash, cash, cash sign. So we really take pride in winning those money downs. We want to hold our opponents under 20 points each game. I'll be honest with you, it's hard to even type 20 points because that seems like a lot. But the way this game has gone, no matter where you are in the country, but specifically down here in Texas where the spread offenses are just really, really good. I think if you can hold a team under that 20-point total, you're going to have a pretty good chance to win. That's still 3 touchdowns that your offense has to score. But as I said, those offenses have become pretty good. We want to hold our opponents less than 100 rushing yards per game. My first year here, we were at 100.86, and that really stung. That .86 really, really stung on me. This past year, we weren't quite as good in the run stopping game. But I think it's a crucial statistic in winning football games. Even in this age of spread, as I mentioned earlier, if you could stop the run and then obviously your offense run the football, you're going to have a pretty good shot to win the ball game. It doesn't matter what level we're talking about. Moving to the air, if we can hold our opponents less than 150 yards passing, we're golden, right? Again, there's some really good quarterbacks out there, really good coaches with really good concepts. And so, that 250 mark of total yards, total yards, but then that 150 yards of passing, we feel like we're gonna really make them one-dimensional if we're holding those opponents into that number. 5 or more 3-and-outs per game. I haven't seen this stat in a whole lot of goal sheets, but I think it's very important. And I think this is a momentum swinger as well. Maybe not quite as much as the turnover and a sudden change, but those 3-and-outs are things that really generate confidence in your kids. I think they generate excitement with the fans. It might not happen with 1 or 2 per se, but if you start adding those things up and it looks like a dominant defensive game, I think you really can see kind of the tide shift a little bit for your squad. And so we're going to make an emphasis on that and make sure that our kids know that we're charting that. We want to make sure we're keeping up with those things, right? Turnovers, it is what it is. 2 or more a game, we feel like we're going to win the ball game. And then if our defense can score or at least set up 2 scores per game, kind of going back to that 3-and-out with field position, possibly getting a good return on the punt game. If we can set up our offense to score 2 times because of our good play on defense, then we feel like we've set ourselves up to make some plays. So those are our defensive goals. This is kind of something that's my personal philosophy when configuring fits. The things that I think about every single week as I go in to scheming things up. Some of these are very general, specifically the first 3, but they will also be specific by the players. And then how can we get the last 3 things here? How can we get those things to our advantage so that we can compete to the level that we need to compete at and potentially win the ball game? But first will be gap size, right? And so what I mean by that is if you take any and every core, right, on any offensive set, whether they're playing tackle over or not, it's still a 5-man core. You got a center, 2 guards, and 2 tackles. That 5-man core is going to be on the field unless there's a team that's running a lot of gate, which peripherally we're not seeing a whole lot of that. But those gap sizes are going to be A and B, being the condensed gaps, and then C, or if you have a 3-man surface, D and beyond, being those bigger gaps. That's a huge thing for me, and I want to make sure that I'm processing those gap sizes as I'm trying to figure out how I want to fit certain things. Where a single gap fit defense, no matter what the offense is. And so you'll see here throughout this presentation of how important it is to make sure that you have people in every gap in every moment. And so those gap sizes are going to be something that we're going to look at. Next will be the job descriptions. So what kids do I have and what am I asking them to do? If I'm asking a kid to do something that's outside of his player ability, which is number 3, then I'm putting that kid in a bad position. And so my job as a coach is to get every kid, all 11 on the field, to put them in a position to be successful, right? That doesn't always mean get in the stat sheet. That doesn't always mean make a tackle. But if they do their job, they are successful, and we really want to preach that up. We really want to point those things out on film so that those kids feel like they're a part of the 111th. And that's important, right? So what are those job descriptions, and why does it fit into the ultimate picture of what we're trying to do? Player abilities would be number 3. So are those job descriptions matching the abilities of the player, right? I got to make sure that I'm asking a kid that, maybe a little bit slower and lumbering or maybe a little bit bigger, that he can do the job that I'm asking him to do. If his abilities don't match up with his description, then that's on me as a coach. I got to make sure that those guys are put in a position to be successful, as I mentioned just a second ago, right? One of the things that I'm very big on, especially with run fits, I always want 3 fitters outside the mental line of scrimmage. If I've got 3 fitters outside of emo, I feel like we've got a pretty good chance of stopping what's going on, right? Because we're going to fit things inside that crease. Again, going back to the gap sizes, we're going to fit from tackle to tackle. We're going to fit things up. If we can get guys working out towards the sideline, we're feeling pretty good about what we've got going on. So that's where the whole argument, are you a spill team or are you a box team, comes into play. We're actually going to be a little bit of both. We're going to spill it from the inside out, and then we're going to box things because we're a tight front with 2 overhangs, with the safeties getting involved in the run fit and what have you. And then just like any other defense, across the world, we want to make sure we win our one-on-one matchups. But again, that goes back to what we watch on film, where we feel like we can gain an advantage. If I have to move some guys around, what pressures will work, what calls and stunts may work up front, and then what coverages that we need to be in so that those are married to our front concepts and we're not getting caught out flanked and we're not in a bad coverage, whether it's a run stopping coverage or passing down, we're always going to be complementing one another from the front end to the back end. So those are just some of the things that I think about when configuring run fits, and hopefully that'll help you guys out in your process as well. All right, so we're a big pinch team. You'll see some clips here in just a second of a lot of pinches. Okay, rush, nose, and anchor are what we call our down linemen. Again, in our 3-4 look. This is just a typical tight four. We're actually in head up fours and not four eyes. One of the things that I've learned from the better defensive coaches across the country, particularly at the collegiate level, is talk to offensive coordinators, and what those guys say that they don't like seeing. Do your best to find yourself in those positions. So I would say the three things that I've found throughout my research, whether it's listening to other defensive coordinators that have talked to offensive coordinators or finding out on my own research, those three things happen to be these three things, right? So head up alignments are really, really tough. They're just not easy because you can be unpredictable. You can go a lot of different directions. Especially when you're a little bit smaller than other team, you might use your quickness to your advantage. So we're going to try to do that with our down linemen. You can see here it's a 4-0-4 front, and we're going to try to align in that. As long as we're in our tight front, we're going to align in that. Every once in a while, you'll see maybe an overrun under with either a zero or a shade, and then a true over and under with a walk down overhang. But a lot of times you'll just see us in our 4-0-4 look. Whether it's attached or not, with the three-man surface, with one of those overhangs walking down. So that's something that we're going to take a lot of pride in. Those other two things, by the way, are press coverage and post safeties, right? So that happens to be on the back end. Whether it's right or not, that's just some of the three things that I've kind of gathered through my research. Again, some on my own, some talking to other defensive coordinators that have talked to offensive coordinators. And, what do you not like? Well, head up alignments, press coverage, and post safeties are really tough to go against. So that's something we're going to do. So as we're pinching here, you're going to see all things considered equal, right? With a 2x2 set and doubles. It's even a pistol, so we don't have a back to go off of. We're going to call this a left call. As you can see, the rush and the anchor are both pinching the B gaps. They're both what we call brick players. Our nose is going to go backside A. Now, this is not a lag. I need to make sure that is clear. We're not lagging that. I feel like, number one, that term in and of itself, it sounds slow, right? We want to play fast, going back to our defensive philosophy, fast, physical, and fun. If we're playing fast and then we tell somebody to lag and that slows down, because a lag is more of a read rather than an attack, we're reacting to something. We just don't want that. So what we're going to do is send him backside a lot of times. We do have plenty of calls where he goes front side. But a lot of times we're going to send him backside because we have a fast flow fit from our mic and our wheel. So you see the dotted lines here. All they're doing is rock and roll the fit from A to C. Pretty simple, right? We've got both B gaps covered with our 4 techniques. And so now that just frees up our middle linebackers, our interior backers, Mike and Willie, to read their guards and rock and roll those fits from C gap to A gap. I'll get into more of the C gap in just a second. Our overhangs have a really simple job. They are contained and playing outside shoulder of the deepest man. So we call that deep, deeper, deepest. We're going to show the outside shoulder of the deepest man. Call it a day, right? So going back to that C-gap fit, let's just hypothetically say that this ball goes to the arrow of the back right here, and it's going to our left. If that's the case, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the B-gaps are covered by rush and anchor once again, based on our call. Now, one thing, let me just sidetrack for a second and say that we want to call what we call, and then we will allow things to flourish and happen as we read from the interior spot. But our jack, money, rush, nose, and anchor already know which gap they have pre-snap, essentially. Our Mike and Will are the only ones reading, and they're going to read guards, and then they're going to make it right based on guard flow and the flow of the play, right? So if you get Bash or what have you, we still should be able to fit it up. It just may be a little bit slower. Bash is obviously a good play, but we've got to make sure that we've got everything fit up, especially with those other 5 guys, right? So if I'm reading guards, my guards will usually tell me where the ball's going, okay? So whether it's a gap or a zone scheme, we're seeing a lot of duo now, which to me is the best of both worlds. It looks like inside zone, but it's really a gap scheme, so you got to be careful with that. But if those guys up front can at least slow some of that climb down. Now my backers are playing fast, so we're just going to rock and roll the fit. Now, what we call this inside fit here on the crease, if you will, is the low C fit. So I've got a high C from my jack and a low C from my wheel if that play is running back to this right side. If the play is going to the left side, now I've got my mic in the low C or the crease, and now my money is out here really splitting the difference between the crease and the alley, because I still have 2 extra fitters back here in the secondary. I'm going to have a force player based on my coverage from back here. My primary force is going to actually be my overhang, and then one of those 2 guys obviously will be the secondary force. So we're still good there. We've still got it fit up, and then I can even scrape over the top based on flow. Once again, with that backside interior backer, we're playing what we call CCR on the backside, counter cut back reverse. Anything that comes back that way would be that olive C player now, because we're scraping over the top with the interior backer. So if you guys have any questions on that, don't hesitate to reach out to me. But that's essentially where we're going to start with our day 1 install. All right, so here's some of the clips. Really good job from a condensed set here. If you notice, the nose and the field 4 technique really get a good penetration here. Now, I will show you here in just a second a tight look, and then once again from the end zone. I would rather see heads and gaps a little bit more than what these young men do, but they get such a great reset that allows my second level player. We're in more of a bear look here, but my second level player can play faster because of that reset. And then even if you watch from the backside, this is a 4 technique that's surfing down the line, and that guy that's trying to block him has power 5 offers from everywhere. He's a really good player, but we felt like we could give him some fits by that pinch mindset, as you saw on the slide earlier. So here's the tight set. You can see again, great reset from our nose. He sets that guy backwards, and then a great reset from the field side 4 technique, which is really more of a 3 right here. I would like for that head to be just a little bit wider. You can see he ends up having to swing and sling is what we call that, because his head is not in the right position. You can really see it here. Right, this guy's what we're looking for. He gets caught up inside, but then he's able to get off and make at least a little bit of the play, right? But a good job by the backside 4 technique, just surfing down the line. He's able to come in and make a play because of that pinch technique, right? He's even in a stand-up 2 technique, but he just gets his head inside, and now he's able to surf down the line and be involved in the play. Okay, same team. We're actually pressuring here. So here what you'll see is this boundary interior backer right here does a great job. We're pinching once again, so we just occupy the B gap with the boundary player, and now the boundary inside backer is going to fit that A gap. So we call defense like an offense, right? So one of the best defensive coordinators this past fall in 2021 was Jim Knowles, in my opinion, out at Oklahoma State. He's now at Ohio State. Coach Knowles talked about, it may have been Lauren's first and goal, can't remember, but he talked about calling a defense like an offense. And that's really what we want to do. We want to establish gaps, right, based on our call, not the reaction of what the offense is doing. That, again, that's not our mindset of attack and react rather than a react and attack mindset. If we can do that and we can really fit it up, and I'll show you the end zone here in a second where these guys do a good job fitting this play up, then I feel like we're going to be pretty successful. And here we are on this play. We were successful on this little easy zone concept. You can see it here from the end zone. Right? Great job by the nose, getting penetration there, 76. Anytime we see numbers like this, we've done our job. We're okay with those guys getting upfield because we want to cut this field. All right? We want to cut this field, and that allows our backers to play fast. So right now we've got this guy playing free, this guy playing free, and we've attached here in our pinch. Right? So good job from a 4 technique here. He pinches. All right, we're going to kind of maybe bluff that look a little bit and then work back inside. That really helps both the overhang out here and then also that 4 technique as long as he takes care of his guy, right? So as we do that, now we're fitting it. Really good tackle right there. Good leverage, good tackle. He drives the guy home, fitting the A gap. So if I pause it here, okay, we've got a 4 technique here, playing the B gap. All right, this is a blitzing backer. Again, we blitz our gap a lot, so you can just see that we wound it. Okay, here he is creeping up, coming up to bandit that, what we call a bandit foot in the hole. And now he's got that outside gap. Everybody is gapped out. We got nose here in A. We got a B gap fitter. Here's our C gap fit. Now on the backside, that's my B gap pincher from the nose, or excuse me, from the 4, right? Here's the backside A, which is the interior backer. And there's my overhang. Again, both of those guys playing free. Good tackle. All right, next clip here. Okay, we've got a 20 personnel look, 2-back set. All right, we're still going to pinch. Good job by number 11. Really, really nice job by the bottom overhang here. You can see he's creeping up towards the line of scrimmage. Now, typically, we're going to be more where this guy is aligned 3 to 5 yards off the ball. This guy was a really good edge rusher, so we kind of gave him some freedom to do some different things to get closer to the line of scrimmage because a lot of times we were sending him as our 4th rusher. But what he does here is a really, really good job with technique. I like his footwork. So what we're going to do is very similar to the scooch step. Okay, we're going to go in, out, again, to make sure we keep that outside shoulder free. Now, if the quarterback decides to keep here, we should be able to what we call splatter that. He's going to take his inside shoulder, he smacks the running back, and now he should ricochet off of that and make a play over here or get a holding call if that, if the hand placement is too wide. Now on the give, okay, we've got a pinch up top to the field. You can see, again, I'm okay with some penetration as long as we create a different path by the ball carrier. I am fine with those guys getting upfield. Now they got to attack the mesh. I don't want them to run into no man's land. But if they can attack and force this guy to slow down or bow his path or even cut back, because we should have gapped out over here, then we're in good shape. Here it happens to be a bow out, and then our overhang makes the play in the backfield. Pretty nice job. Here it is from the Tite. Good job by the interior backer as well. As you can see here, all he's doing is reading guards. He's going to check that opposite guard. We're getting more of a duo, inside zone look. Once he gets that, now he knows he can play fast, fly in there. Good job by the 4 technique, and we're rolling. Here it is from the end zone. So you can see that 4 technique slows the backer down, the running back. As he slows him down, that allows our backer to be able to make a play. Great job by the interior backer. So he's looking A-gap, and then he's able just to kind of rock and roll his fit a little bit based on where the path of the running back goes. All right, so here's our tight attached look. A lot of guys will ask me, how we align to an 11 personnel. This happens to be a 21 personnel look. You got a 3-man surface up here. So we're still in our 4-0-4 front. This is an overhang who's going to walk down and play what some people call a loose 9. We actually call it a 6 because I want to make sure our dudes are on top of that guy. If we say 9, a lot of times they have a tendency to widen so far that we're really not on top of that attached receiver. And that's what he is, right? As you notice here, they're not playing anything off. It's just a 2-receiver set. He would be the 3rd receiver. With those 2 in the backfield, we got to really manage that and make sure that he's not shooting up the seam, especially in the coverage that we're in. So you can see our safeties are playing pretty heavily in the box here, right? It looks like a 4 down, but it's really not. It's still a 3-down concept with the 4-0-4 front. We're going to be an attached 6 here. Now, our alignment here is going to be inside foot splitting the crotch of the squared stance of the tight end. And we still want to keep our outside shoulder free. We're playing the D gap. We're still playing C gap from the interior. And then our safety is still going to be alley fit, which is a little bit wider than that high C or D gap in this case. All right, so that's what we're wanting to do. It's a good job by that backer again. So he is initially going to that C gap, as you can see, and then he just finds the flow of the ball. Right? We're not going to sit here and cover gaps that they're not running into. Also, I want you to notice the boundary side 4 technique. He does a really good job. So as I mentioned earlier, our aiming point is going to be the near hip of the guard. And I'll slow this down. You'll see as he attacks that near hip of the guard is leaving and almost in a fold block. And so now we're not going to be robots and just surf down the line here. There's no reason for us to surf because if we did that, now we're creating, going back to gap sizes, we're creating a bigger gap. So what I would rather those guys do, if the mesh is still intact, just attack that mesh point instead of surfing down the line so that we can go and at least blow this up. Give him a read where he can get rid of the ball, and now we can fly to the ball with everybody else. Good job by that interior backer. Nice play. Run that one more time for you guys. I'll show you from the end zone as well. Good play. Here's the end zone look. You can really see our alignments right here. I would consider that a 4-eye, but I'm okay with that. Again, he does a good job getting inside. I give my guys freedom, fellas. I'm not going to be a guy that's going to make them line up exactly where I want them to. As you can see, he's a head up four, and that's a pretty wide, broad kick, right? But he feels like maybe he can use his quickness against that young man. So he's going to line up in a head up four. He does a good job anchoring down in his B gap, and it allows my backers to play clean and free. That's what we want ultimately, fellas. We want our backers to play clean and free. If our down linemen are accomplishing that, then we feel pretty good about what we're doing. Here again is an attached look. Good job by 33 here to the boundary, working outside, and then that allows my interior backer to come and fit. Now, that gap is a little bit bigger than what I like, but the beautiful thing here is on the pinch from the 4 technique from the boundary, he requires 77. Again, looking to play duo here. Duo is trying to duo this guy for a second and then climb up and get the backer. But because he pinches so well, that allows the backer to play faster than 77. And now you can see he's in catch mode. He can't find him. Now he's got to try to climb to the next guy. It's too late. We've got him in the backfield. He falls forward back to the line of scrimmage, but we'll take a no gain here. Good job. Good pursuit on the backside. It's a good example of what I was saying earlier, right? Don't just surf down the line, but also make sure you create a read in the mesh, right? Because if he surfs down the line here and this is a read, something like a midline, no matter who he's reading, he can pull that and pipe it. And that's what we want to try to refrain from. You see from the end zone, good job by 33 here. He just creates a little bit more space for the interior Mike to come in and make a play. That's a nice read by the Mike too, because right now, again, on the duo look, you're getting a full slide almost from that guard. He sees that and no hesitation. He heads over to his C gap right now. Okay, here's a 4-man pressure. So this is actually a scramble. It's going to be a pass play. Now, I do not like the footwork from my overhang here to the field, but what I do like, by the way, if you want to see proper footwork, look to the boundary. Boundary overhang has really good footwork. This is what we teach, and just a side note. Okay, it's in, out, and I'll slow it down for you. There's your in, and then out, and now I'm back to the ball to see what's happening. I'm in the slants and glance. Now here to the field. All right, he almost bails too early. He takes 1.5 steps towards. Okay, he bails, but then he does a good job getting his head back, and you can see where he squares up. Okay, he plants a few false steps there, but he's in position to come make a play, even on some type of scramble, right? You can see in the top it's 3rd and 8. Okay, on a 3rd and 8, we want to make sure that we are in pass, concept. But he's scrambling, and that's where a lot of those quarterbacks, especially the more athletic ones, can get a first down. And he does a good job relocating and coming up and making a play after a short game. Just again, I would like a little bit better footwork there from the young man, but we'll take that play. It's a good job. All right, so here's a passing game. So just like we would fit those interior fits, as I said, 3 fits outside of emo, we want to make sure that we treat this it's a quick game, by the way. We want to treat it just like a run, right? A run on the edge. A lot of guys now are working Oklahoma from a perimeter standpoint. Perimeter Oklahoma is a really good drill for you to do to kind of see your fits with your secondary guys. I wanted to make sure I threw a couple in here with secondary fits just to show you what we do with our secondary fits and that 3-man outside of emo concept, right? So here I've got a force player in my corner. Okay, this is still my alley fitter, and here is my high crease fitter, or earlier, as I said, my high C. My high C is going to fit from inside out. I want my alley fitter to come outside hip, okay, and then nothing outside of my force player for obvious reasons, right? And so here it plays out where the safety and the overhang both are involved. And again, that's really good footwork by that overhang. In. He sees the quick throw right now. We treat it like a run. He does a good job getting shoulder leverage on the hip. And then the safety comes in and gets a half tackle as well. Good job by both of those young men right there on that play. All right, so here the corner. Again, they go to a flash motion and end up in quads. Corner's going to crash this. You can see where he calls it right here late. He's going to show a press. Okay, and then he's going to crash in between 1 and 2. Our crash is technically our trap, right? And now he can read quicker. And so he gets there right as the ball does. What a play by that young man. He gets there as the ball does and probably could have picked it off if he was paying closer attention, but I'm never going to get onto the guy for playing as physical as he plays right there. That's fast, physical, and fun. And you can see the fun that he's having. Great job by everybody else, too. I want you to notice just the pursuit and the effort going back to our culture. That's unacceptable, but everything else is exactly what we want. We want all 11 dudes over here to this football and treat that like a fumble. That's what we're teaching them right now, is treat it like a fumble, because if an official makes a bad call and they call that a lateral, we're scoop and score right now, right? You can see some of those guys are doing a good job with that. We're going to point that out on film on Saturday morning. We're going to point that on film throughout the week. We're going to make sure that we're doing that the right way. All right, our slant fit. So we do have true full slants. Just a good compliment going back to, job description. So if you got a guy that may can play in space a little bit, here would be the anchor. And to keep them honest as well. You want to make sure that you can do that and not just pinch every time. You're still pinching from the backside technically, but it's a full slant, right? We have a call for that, whether it's strong or weak, just to make it simple on our guys, again, to make them play faster. And so now our interior backers know if you're getting, a slant to that C gap from your side, the beautiful thing about this is all I know right now is if my guard does not pull, I am fitting the B gap. So I can play really fast. You'll see a clip in here that actually looks like a blitz where it's really not. He just knows that he's got B gap and it's a closer trajectory than it would be to play the C gap. And so unless I'm scraping over the top to the backside because the play is away from me, I am downhill to B right now. It allows us to play fast. All right. So here we are. This is it. Actually, it looks like a pressure. We're in a more of a 3-3 stack here, look. But guys, side note again, my 3-4, my Tite 4 front is fit very similar to a 3-3 stack. So the beautiful thing is if you can go into a 3 high look, which we did on occasion, especially down the stretch of the season, everything still fits the same. We have the exact same calls. Our kids play the exact same way. We're just playing with one less linebacker and an extra safety. So, for those teams like an Austin Westlake, if you're familiar with Texas high school football, this young man catching this snap is likely going to be the starting quarterback at Clemson, maybe even as a true freshman. He is unbelievably good. Kate Klubnik, and then that whole offensive line was just some studs. That receiving core were really good, and that's why they're the 3-time state champions in the state of Texas at the highest level. But what we're trying to do here again is just get our guys playing fast. We slant, as you can see here, slant to the field. But that interior backer that's got a free run through right now knows he can hit B gap. Even on a wide zone play, he can hit B gap. You can see it here from the end zone. Look at the size of that offensive line at the high school level. It's just ridiculous. But we're going to slant here to the field just to keep it slow for you. You see everybody slanting, and now he still knows where his B gap falls, right? Again, make it simple for those guys. He's reading the wide zone look. He sees that, and now he's able to shoot through and get a free run through. Back to our 3-4 here, we got a pressure call, okay? One thing I love about this clip, and we'll see it really on the end zone, but these 3 guys end up being stacked. So you can see we're kind of showing a blitz here, right? But this guy's going to shoot to that gap on the outside. So again, it's that slant that I showed you on the clip, on the drawing. All right, he's going to slant to the outside. Now that allows this backer to fold back inside. As he folds inside, this guy is the one that actually makes the play. It's really difficult to block all 3. All right, you can see here right there, they're all stacked, right? So now what we're going to do is shoot this guy in that look. He's going to come back inside, and now we're gapped out with that 3rd backer right inside there. Very nice job. Again, there's a good job by that nose, just being aggressive, right? Don't like how high he's playing. His pad level's a little too high for me, but you can see the center having a hard time with him. And now the center's got to think about him and then try to climb. And so it's kind of a 1-for-1. What we want here is either this guy to get past, and now we're climbing up to the backer, and he should at least slow the back down, right? As I mentioned earlier, attack the mesh, cut the field, right? Or we want to occupy that center so much that he's worried about him, and now our backer's playing free. If we're playing with clean backers, we're good. Otherwise, D-line's got to be able to make the play. Here, the overhang does a good job. Again, with our stunt we have going on to that boundary side, he does a good job, and he steps in there and makes a nice tackle. All right, here on the option, you can see they jump a tight end, right? Jumped him from the boundary to the field. As they do that, readjust. Okay, now we're in more of that bear set. We look more like a bear front here, which we'll do on occasion. As I mentioned earlier, this guy was a really good edge rusher, so we're kind of keeping him in the box in this game as a game plan thing. Really good job here by the field overhang. He's going to allow that guy to release inside. As you can see, that's a purposeful thing because they're trying to run that option. Right, so now because of our coverage, we're allowing that overhang to play the quarterback, and now our corner is going to be the force player. Our corner just does a really, really nice job with this quick twitch. He recognizes that it's an option play, doesn't allow a stock block, and now here we are following that ball again. Treat everything like a fumble. That ball flies up in the air. If we're pursuing it like we should and playing defense the right way, we're going to come up with that fumble as we do here in this show, in this clip. That's it right there. We got everybody on our side of the hash. And now watch the celebration. That's culture. That's what we want. It's good culture right there. Nice play. Okay, so here to the bunch set, we actually, again, this is a pressure. But we know where we're going. We're going to blitz our gap. So here's that true slant. We're going to slant here to the left, to the bunch. Okay, and now that allows that interior backer just to know exactly what gap he's blitzing. And now that he's able to blitz the B gap full speed, he makes the play in the backfield for a loss of 6. One more time. It is, you can see with the slant, good job by number 11 here. Just getting good penetration. I'd like a little bit more from my center, or excuse me, from my nose against the center. All right, not too bad there. We try to cross face back to the inside from the 4 technique on the left. I'd like for him just to keep his path right there rather than throw and try to go back inside, but a good job by the interior backer to make the play. Again, just a full slide, and this is the alley fit as we talked about earlier. They were in a little bit different coverage. So we're playing more of a man concept here, so you can see the safety is belling, all right, but we're replacing with that interior backer. So that interior backer and the overhang are now exchanging essentially. So he's fitting the inside hip, a great tackle right there by the safety coming down in the cover 0 concept. A little motion play here. Okay, again, this is a 3 high look out of a 3-3 stack. A lot of our stuff, as I said earlier, is fit like a 3-3 stack. Okay, good job by this outside backer. Again, keeping contained. That's all we're doing. We're telling him you are still the box player, nothing outside of you. Deep, deeper, deepest. He does a good job with that, pushes it back to the teeth, and we've got good pursuit from the backside for the play. Again, all we're doing here is it's really more or less a double C gap blitz or fit, excuse me, from our 4 techniques. We're in a 2-point stance here to the field. All right, but you can see he just gets outside, kind of gets blocked here a little bit, almost gets logged, but does a good job staying outside, but it allows that outside backer to come in and make the play. Great job by the nose. I really like this reset by this nose. One of the things that I want to point out here, and this is why I have this clip in here, they're running some buck sweep type look, pin and pull, right? So at this pin and pull on the back side, okay, we want to create what we call bubbles and bows. We have fun with the kids with this. We tell them, hey, make these guys little girls. And what do little girls love? They love, blowing bubbles out in the front yard, and then they want bows in their hair. So if we can create that bubble and bow path from any pulling guard, from our down lineman or our defensive lineman, in this case, there's only 2 down linemen, then we feel like, again, our backers can play clean, right? And so as you can see, good job by that nose. He pushes the center right into that backside pulling guard. That allows him, or excuse me, our outside backer, that allows him to play faster now because of the bowed path or the bubbled path of that backside pulling guard. In fact, the front side guard gets whacked too by that four technique from a 2-point stance. Boom. He hits the H-back. As he hits the H-back, it forces that guy to slow down, and now we've got a backer right in the face of the ball carrier. It's a really good job by our young men right there. Yeah, very nice. Love it. And the nose gets involved in the play, even better. Just works his way down. See, puts that guy on his back. We got a pile right there because we're flying to the football. It's good stuff. So here, 20 personnel look. We're just slanting to the field. I'd like for that interior backer to press a little bit more here to the field. But very nice job by our nose here. Again, he gets a cross face. As he crosses face, you can see he anchors and just continues to work. As he anchors and works, he finds himself involved in the play. He slowed 70 down as well. All right. Slowed that center down as well, and 76 has no chance. It's a really good job. Get it from the end zone. Just a good job fighting pressure with pressure there. So our stunt fits, we do have a few stunts, okay? So a lot of times we'll line up in a 4-eye or we'll stem down to a 3 from this side if we're hitting the A-gap, and we have a call for that as well. That pushes the nose to the opposite side no matter what the strength is, right? Here he's still going backside because the strength is on the right side with 3-man surface. But we will stunt both ways, both strong and weak. Here's a strong call in this particular picture, but this is what that looks like here on film. You got your Tite attached. You can see from the boundary, we're going all the way inside of that A gap, and now just watch the backers play clean. Clean backer, here he comes. That A gap and the C gap, it allows a big movement, and now even the puller's going to have a hard time. Now they're pulling the tackle here. I don't think that tackle's ever going to make it to the play side backer, but we want to make sure we're playing fast enough so that no puller, guard, or tackle can make it to us. Good reset right there from the field. 4 technique right there. Boom. Reset. His head's in the gap. That's what we want. You can see the pinch from the tail end here. That's good. That's a really good job right there from the field. And now the boundary should get all the way over here to A-gap. He's a little bit slow, but it is a down block by 75 there. So I don't expect him to get to the A, but I do expect him to get in the pile. As you can see there, he laid in the pile, which is a good thing. 2x2 set. Okay, again, we got a pressure call, 5-man pressure on this particular play. All right. It ends up being a pass play, but what I want you to notice is from the field how this young man with the orange shoes gets across all the way into that A gap because he just keeps working. And even though it's a slide protection, right, he's going to work himself into the pile. As he works himself into the pile, now that allows a free rusher. Okay, we come free. It's a clean backer. The guy tries to cut him. Can't really do it. Now we force a quick throw, inerrant throw, ends up being an interception. Good job by number 10 here as well. Looting that block from the back. And again, an inerrant throw, good pick over the top. So again, boundary play here. We're going to slant to the boundary. And then we got an A-gap presence up top from the field. It's a really good job right there. Now you can see the fast flow concept of our linebackers. Play side backer goes to that C-gap as we've talked about. Now we're scraping over the top with the backside interior backer. And we've got several dudes with the hats to the ball. It's a good job. Again, creating bubbles and bowls with that path, right? So we've got a little sidecar action here, right? But they're just running the counter. That counter's hard to get to when we're playing as fast as we're supposed to play. Good job by the 4 technique to the field, getting all the way over into that A gap, creating the pile, and then allowing our backers to also clean to come in and create the havoc. It's a really good job right there. You can see the good picture. Number 9, I would like for him to be a little bit more physical at the point of contact, but he does his job, and that allows number 10 to come in and get involved in on the play. Okay, so here's a full stunt here to the boundary. All right, so we want to get all the way over into that A gap, and then we're bringing somebody off the edge. So it's very similar to a pirate blitz, but again, from a 4-down look, we're just in tight attached here with the 3-man surface to the boundary. They're in FIB, and we come off the edge from the field on the boot. We make a play. See it from the end zone. Now the difference, so it looks like he's getting blocked here, but we just want him to get into the pile, right? Get into the pile as much as you can so that we can allow our pressure to come off that edge. All right, guys, again, there's my cell phone number at the bottom. There's my Twitter handle. Man, I hope you guys learned something from this. I am more than happy to share this with anybody that wants it. Just let me know. I can shoot it to you via Hutto. Just holler at me. Again, there's my contact info. Thank you very much. Again, just really appreciate it. And you guys, with the mental health thing, man, just to take a brief moment to talk about that. It is a crucial thing. And as men, especially in America, we're taught not to talk about those things. I want to encourage you to do it. I want to encourage you to be vulnerable, to reach out about any of those things so that, we can flip the script, right? Again, really appreciative of you guys to listening today, and please reach out to me. Let me know what you think. Thanks a lot.